between US President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. Donald Trump even suggested at one point that this could be a way to pay back America the billions in aid it has provided Ukraine, both military and humanitarian, since the war broke out. Now, this deal has dramatically changed.
What if the future of Ukraine's economy and the West's strategic power in Europe depended not on weapons or alliances, but on rocks buried underground? On April 30th, 2025, the United States and Ukraine signed an economic agreement that might appear, at first glance, like a standard development deal. But beneath the surface lies a bold and far-reaching move, one that could reshape the post-war order in Eastern Europe, redefine Washington's leverage in the region, and set the foundation for a new era of resource-based diplomacy. So, what exactly is this deal, and why is it making headlines across the geopolitical world? Let's dig into it. The agreement: rebuilding Ukraine, restructuring strategy. At its core, the deal is focused on three key things: developing Ukraine's critical mineral sector, financing large-scale infrastructure, and advancing post-war reconstruction. But beyond those headlines is a carefully crafted strategy. The centerpiece of the agreement is a newly created Reconstruction Investment Fund. Both countries, the United States and Ukraine, will contribute to it. Ukraine's contribution comes with a twist. It must allocate 50% of all revenues generated from state-owned resources, including oil, gas, and, crucially, critical minerals. These payments will continue until the fund reaches a massive target: $500 billion. That's not a typo. $500 billion. This fund will then be used to rebuild Ukraine's shattered economy, modernize its infrastructure, and bring its resource sector up to Western standards. Now, on paper, the management of this fund looks balanced. The board is made up of 6 members, 3 from Ukraine and 3 from the United States. Equal representation, right? But in practice, the playing field isn't level. The United States brings far more to the table: economic muscle, capital access, and a deep footprint in Ukraine's defense and intelligence apparatus. That gives Washington a significant edge in shaping how the fund operates and where the money flows. In short, America may not have majority control on paper, but it holds the power of influence. And influence, in this case, could shape everything from mining contracts to supply chain routes to infrastructure tenders. What does the U.S. get out of this? Access. Strategic access. The deal gives American investors, and by extension the U.S. government, preferential rights to Ukraine's untapped mineral reserves. And we're not talking about basic materials. We're talking about the critical inputs that power modern economies and militaries: lithium, titanium, graphite, and uranium. These are the essential building blocks of the 21st century world, from electric vehicle batteries and clean energy systems to advanced weapons and electronics. And there's a bigger picture here. The U.S. has been trying to reduce its dependence on China for critical minerals for years. China controls vast parts of the global supply chain, from mining to processing to distribution. By investing in Ukraine, Washington isn't just helping an ally. It's building an alternative supply hub, one aligned with the West, not with Beijing. That's a massive strategic win. A 10-year tax-free advantage. Here's another powerful feature of the deal. All profits generated through the fund in the first 10 years will be reinvested into Ukraine. And during this period, those profits will be exempt from taxes. This creates a strong incentive for U.S. companies and investors. They get early, risk-adjusted returns, while Ukraine gets a decade-long boost to reconstruction without losing revenue to taxation. It's a win-win, at least on paper. But not everything is smooth sailing. There are big questions, and even bigger challenges. For starters, President Zelensky himself has raised concerns. He's pointed out that the agreement, as impactful as it is, doesn't include any formal security guarantees. That's important, because Ukraine is still in an active conflict. Large portions of its territory remain under Russian occupation. Shelling continues. Infrastructure is still being targeted, and the future remains deeply uncertain. From Kiev's perspective, investing billions without any guarantee of protection could be risky. If Russia pushes forward again, or escalates the conflict, who protects the mining operations? Who safeguards the infrastructure? And who ensures the continuity of the fund? Zelensky has been clear. Investment is welcome, but it must come with defensive assurances. And so far, those aren't part of the deal. Then there's the issue of control. About 40% of Ukraine's known critical mineral deposits are located in territories that are currently under Russian occupation. That presents serious problems. It means Ukraine can't access or develop nearly half of its potential mineral wealth until those territories are recovered, or unless there's a political resolution. So, while the deal promises huge returns, actual results may be delayed or limited in the near term. And the Ukrainian people? They have their own concerns. In the country's mining regions, especially in areas with long histories of resource extraction, there's a growing sense of skepticism. Local leaders and communities have voiced fears that foreign companies, particularly American firms, might extract wealth from Ukraine without giving back fairly. They've seen this pattern before, especially in resource-rich countries, where outside investment didn't always translate to local prosperity. Their message is clear. Help us rebuild, but don't exploit us. Despite all this, the deal remains a strategic masterstroke, because its true purpose goes far beyond economics. It's about weaving Ukraine's future into the fabric of the Western economy, about binding Kyiv to Washington, not just through military aid, but through shared investments, mutual dependencies, and long-term financial integration. By doing so, the U.S. strengthens its foothold in Eastern Europe, counters Russia's regional influence, and builds resilience into the West's global supply chains. There's also an EU angle. This deal is a major boost for Ukraine's ambitions to join the European Union. Why? Because it brings transparency, modern governance, and infrastructure development, all core requirements for EU integration. By modernizing its mining sector and aligning its economic policies with Western standards, Ukraine takes another big step toward becoming a full-fledged member of the European community. In short, this agreement is layered. It's about minerals, yes, but it's also about power, positioning, and preparation for a post-war order. It leverages economic opportunity for geopolitical gain. It binds two countries together in a shared project with massive implications for energy, defense, and industry. So where does it all lead? That depends on several unknowns. Will Ukraine regain control over its occupied territories? Will security guarantees ever materialize? Will the West stay committed for the long haul? Because this isn't just a deal. It's a long-term bet. A bet that the war will end, that peace will hold, and that Ukraine will rise as a stable, sovereign partner deeply connected to the Western world. If that happens, the payoff could be enormous, for both sides. But if things go sideways, the risks are just as high. What's clear is this. The U.S.-Ukraine Critical Minerals Agreement isn't just a headline. It's a blueprint for a new kind of foreign policy, one built on energy, economics, and strategy. And it just might be the beginning of a whole new era in global power dynamics. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.